She began her career with an MFA degree as an English professor, a poet, and creative writer before transforming her artistic path into floristry and entrepreneurship. Today, she's the founder and director of Nectar and Bloom, a boutique flower design studio in San Diego. She created The Poetry of Flowers, an online floral school where she blends artistry, writing, and holistic wellness. As a certified yoga teacher, she integrates mindful, healthy practices into every aspect of her creative work. She offers mentorships and private workshops as well. In October 2025, she launched her podcast Called to Bloom, which offers an in-depth look at floral careers, creativity, and what it takes to build a fulfilling life in flowers. She's also the author of Tara of Flowers. And I'm lucky to call her my friend, Jen Cavender. Welcome to the Beautiful People series.
Thank you so much, Val. You're such a joy, and I feel so honored to spend this time with you. Thank you
Oh
so
my
much for having me.
gosh. I am super excited to talk to you because I feel like with the podcast and the deck of cards, I mean, this is just something that I like look at almost every day. You
Oh,
know, I love them, and gosh, kudos to your sister for the artwork and the beautiful illustrations. Really, such a treat. I feel like it's just well put together, and I mean, I don't know if there's anybody else out there that has a tarot deck of flowers, and it's so thoughtful and intentional. What was it like to create something like, because I know it was a very long time coming, right?
yeah, yeah. You're so kind. It was a very long process indeed. Thank you for appreciating it. It's always nice when you make something and people enjoy it and reflect that back to you. So, the idea came to me, I think it was 2019. It took 5 years to develop, so it came out just last year. And I was kind of hunting for a way to express more of who I am and what I'm called to share and how I want to serve. Um, More so than just what I was doing originally. I love designing with flowers. I loved my floral design studio, but I felt like the writer in me and the wellness coach in me needed to do something else. And I don't know, probably a lot of creatives have a moment where you're like, especially if you create in a ephemeral field. When we create with
Yeah.
flowers, it's this amazing, beautiful product, of course, but it does disappear. So having something that was kind of a non-perishable product was a goal. Like, what if I had something that could live on? And I'm also really inspired by oracle decks and things that give us a chance to quiet down and reflect and basically look within. And I always tell people this if they're not versed with tarot. I'm like, don't worry, it's not divination, it's not
Oh
predicting
no.
your future, you know. I'm like, it's actually just a tool for you to look within and
Yeah.
see the guidance that you actually already know, but we need a cue sometimes or something to help us slow down and kind of listen and reach out for that inspiration. So creating it, I had basically been listening into how can I bring these different parts of myself together? How could I create a different kind of offering that might serve in a different way that lasts a little bit longer and pull in the beautiful, inspiring, metaphoric language of flowers? As you know, working with flowers your whole
Mhm.
life, flowers are so full of emotion and so full of stories. And even from a florist perspective, how they behave when we have them in our hands, how the stems feel, how the leaves are, how they last, how they bloom out when we have them, all these things. So I felt like pulling in my knowledge of how flowers work and what they feel like and symbolize, pulling that into the traditional archetypes of the tarot made something that could be an offering that was unique. So it took a lot of writing, it took a
Yeah.
lot of waiting because my other work was so much a bigger part of my life. So it kind of had to be in the evenings or on the
Hmm.
weekends. And I
Yeah.
would just write drafts and read them out loud to Carr, my husband, and
Oh,
he'd be like,
God
okay,
bless
here.
his heart.
Oh, he's such a sweet man. I'm
Amazing.
so and patient with me as I would just walk into his room with my draft and be like, sunflower, da 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 da. And he'd be like, all right.
Oh, I swear, I think I love him as much as I love you.
Oh,
He's
that means
such a
a
sweet
lot.
spirit, you
Yeah.
know. And
Oh,
he's, gosh, I mean, I don't know him like on a personal level, but I feel like just kind of like listening to your podcasts and reading and like just, knowing you to have that person in your life, that's so supportive. I
Mhm.
feel I'm very lucky too because I have a very supportive husband.
Yeah.
But it's really so, it's like food for your brain, it's for your
Yeah.
soul to have
Mhm.
that person to like bounce ideas off of and just have that supportive. Like I feel like my husband gives great advice. So it's like I'm always going to him and he's never put out, you
Mm.
know?
So
So it's
sweet.
so, yeah, it's so special to have that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about like the beginning when you made that big pivot into floral design. Did you feel like always drawn to flowers or not really? Or how did that sort of work out?
Yeah, I had always been drawn to flowers, but I had never thought that it was a possible career. So I grew up on an organic produce farm in the Midwest, and my sister and I, who ended up being my creative partner on Tarot Flowers, as you know, we had a little flower business together on the side of my parents' produce. So they would grow produce all summer, sell to the farmers markets and grocery stores,
Nice.
and my sister and I would grow flowers, and I loved that, especially, being in a Four Seasons kind of place. I was like, and I'm a summer loving gal. It was like flowers are this season of hope that returns once a year. So I grew up growing flowers and really loving that and
That's
having them be
amazing.
part of, yeah. So, but then moving out to California for college and studying English and creative writing, and I never thought that I would work with flowers again. It was just something I loved. I always would be inspired by them on my runs or walks, seeing them in
Hmm.
people's yards, whatever. But I always remember when I discovered floral design was a career path. It was after graduate school while I was teaching English at the university. And I remember thinking, I didn't know this was an option. Like, this isn't on the list of majors. And I always talk
Yeah.
about this because I've been in academia so long. I was like, I didn't know they didn't say that this
Yeah.
was a thing. So I didn't really discover it until our wedding when Cara and I were getting married and hiring our vendors. I was so inspired by mostly women vendors in this creative market. And when it came to hiring our florist, I just felt myself being like, oh, this is amazing. This is really moving. So it hit me like a comet. And just discovering that that was possible, I was suddenly like, this is what I've been searching for. I love my academic work. I love teaching. I love working in a creative field, but I really miss letting myself be an artist, working with my hands. Now I found an industry where that's possible, and that was really inspiring. I had a very practical upbringing, so it was like
Yeah.
you can be an artist, but not for your job, like have a
Right.
real job.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
like
I
that,
kind of
you know.
got that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing, but it's not
No. Yeah.
it's limiting and
Right.
you know.
Did you always feel that you were like a natural teacher? Because I feel like you do it so well.
Oh, thanks. It's the funniest thing because I never planned to be a teacher, but everything I love and do, I end up teaching. And now at this point in my life, at 40, I'm very
Holler.
aware. Y'all fourth decade. I've fully embraced that. That's something that is part of who I am. I love to teach and mentor. My favorite thing is to learn and master something and then share the skills and tools with someone on the same path. It makes me shine. I did it with yoga, I did it with creative writing, I did it with floristry. So I'm lucky that that's something I really love to do.
Yeah. How does your brain work? Like, I feel like,
Good
I feel,
question.
yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, especially the world of TikTok, you explore so much more and learn a lot. I feel like I learn a lot, but I
Mm,
feel like there's people out there that hear thoughts in their head or hear your own voice in your head, and then there's, visual people. I'm definitely like I hear my thoughts in my head, but I also have this really weird visual thing. So
mm,
like for example, because I'm a floral designer by trade, I will look at something and figure out how I can make it into a floral arrangement. It could be a
yeah.
scarf. It's the
Yes.
weirdest thing. It's like always on,
Yes.
like even and I haven't done floral design in a long time, but it's still always there. Like, how
Yeah.
can I make that into something? How does
I
your brain work?
Oh, I love that you just told me that. I'm already visualizing it because I'm very visual too. I'm like, I
Yeah.
love this. I want to stack up a scarf and make that my next
Right?
inspiration based on you. I think in a way I'm similar. I wonder if you have this too. I have that thing called synesthesia, where you
Oh,
have kind of crossed senses. So one sense stimulus will inspire another. So I feel like I can hear color or I can taste music. Like there are little overlaps like that within the senses, which I think usually makes, days of the week have a color or numbers have
yeah.
a color. You probably have that. No? You,
Yes, me and my
yeah.
sisters talk about it all the time.
It's
It's
so interesting.
crazy.
And
It's crazy.
everyone's synesthesia is different. It'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, Tuesday's definitely blue. No, it's not. It's definitely green, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. But I love what you just said because for me, coming into floral design, I had come from this poetry background, and in poetry, we studied a lot about translation. And I'm actually planning to talk about this in a future podcast on Call to Bloom
Yay.
because I think it's a really amazing creative tool where basically, just like you said, you could be inspired by a scarf and let that feed into how you're going to design with flowers. I think of it as translation, where you could take a poem and how you feel about that or the visual cues you can translate from that could be what you design with. And that's why when I created my online flower school, it is poetry of flowers, because I think that flowers are their own language. So
Yeah.
lots of things, but in a nutshell, I also feel like whatever I see, whether that's something in nature or an object or a thing or a dance move, all of that movement or those cues can kind of translate into what flowers, what stems, what
Yeah.
gestures we use. So I feel you on that. I think that's
Okay,
similar.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how the brain works. And it's just
Yeah.
it's exciting because you could look at the most random thing and think, how can I make that into a floral arrangement? It's
It
always
makes,
it's always on.
yes, and it makes infinite inspiration. You're never
Hmm.
lacking for inspiration if you need some fuel. Walk around, look around.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
want to talk about your podcast.
Mm.
First of all, anybody who has not listened to your podcast needs to go listen right this second. The first 3 episodes just blew my mind, and your voice and the way that you speak is very soothing, it's very relaxing. I feel just when I was listening, just I felt very comfortable, and I was able to just get in your words and, like, feel good about what you were saying.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
You're welcome. But you mentioned, I think it's on the second podcast about doing the framework and zones. Now, hear me out on this.
Ah, yes.
You said that there was 3 zones: competence, excellence, and genius. Is there a graph or visual that you can put together for that?
I
Because
can
I
sketch it
it's
out.
so it's so funny because and all my sisters know this about me, like I normally don't read books. If they have pictures in them, then I will.
Mm,
So I'm more of a picture book kind of gal,
yeah.
obviously I'm a floral designer by trade, so it's like, give me all the visuals. But I
Yeah.
was listening to you talk about those in great detail, and I was like, "Oh, I would love a chart." And I'm thinking maybe I could suggest to Jen start writing a book about it and put a chart
Mm.
and of all these great things. But could you just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I will absolutely cite and credit the book that this came from. It's called The Big Leap by
Oh,
Gay Hendricks. It is an awesome book about really making that big leap out of what we're comfortable with or what we feel like we should do and into that zone of genius. So I mentioned the book in the podcast, and I
yeah,
mentioned so many books because I'm very academic. So at least if you don't like to read the books, I want to give you the good tools from them.
yeah.
So I always like to credit who that's from, but I love this framework because I think of it as, and I actually read the book a while ago, so I'm not sure. He might have graphics in it. I'll have to check. But it's really like imagine a rectangle, and in that
Okay.
rectangle is zone of competence. You're good at it, but everyone else is about the equal amount of good at it. It's not, you're not outstanding, you're not very excited about it, but you can do it. The next box, also a rectangle, but kind of like advanced, is the zone of excellence. And that's where this is what you're really good at. Everyone loves that you do it. They encourage you to
Yeah.
do it. They want you to do it, but you don't feel excited. You're like, blah. But it's so confusing because everyone loves that you do it. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people have been in that situation. You've probably felt that too, or,
Yep.
and everyone feels
Completely
outside.
relatable.
Yeah. When I read this, I was like, this is my life. And we really
Yeah.
get stuck in the zone of excellence because we've been
Hmm.
honing our skills, we've become very good at something. And again, that external validation is so encouraging and so, I don't know, stabilizing. And it makes you feel like this is where I should be. Also, there's
Hmm.
issues of it feels safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
So the big leap is getting out of those two boxes and into this upward spiral. So the shape of the zone of genius is an upward spiral where you can continue to expand. And the coolest
Nice.
thing about the zone of genius is it's what you are really good at and you love to do it. You could do it all day. It's usually the thing that your
Hmm.
friends come to and are like, or come to you and are like, can you tell me about this? Or you're so good at this. Tell me da da da. And you're like, oh, let's talk about it all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and it's kind of scary jumping into the zone of genius, even though you know you belong there, or that's what turns your soul on, because it feels like that's dangerous or that's not as steady or the world doesn't encourage me to do that yet. Or a lot of times we have those self-limiting beliefs, I certainly do, of I'm not allowed to do what I really love. That's not really a real job, or that's not really a real thing. Or there must
Hmm.
be some other shoe that's going to drop if you're doing what you're really good at and you love. So it's challenging, but it's a beautiful thing to conceptualize because you can absolutely make that leap and keep using that as you're heading. So I love that you
Hmm.
asked me about that because I'm obsessed with that framework. I think it's so helpful and just easy to
Yeah.
wrap your mind around. But does that help illustrate it a little? I'm like, maybe I should draw it.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And that's the thing about your podcast is that it's really, really relatable. And it can be relatable not just to flower people, but to creatives or maybe somebody who isn't creative that wants to be creative. Or I feel like it's for a lot of people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
thanks. I'm really hoping for that. I want to serve my flower people, and I also want
Yeah.
people who want to dip their toe in, or people who are creative entrepreneurs, or people just who come across it and are like, oh, I want some tools to live better and feel more empowered in my life. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it surprising all of the things that flowers can offer, like the different avenues and different career paths, and like, is it surprising to you that there's just so many
I
ways
think
to be creative?
I honestly love it so much. I think it's a huge part of what makes me excited to mentor and coach and teach other people because I want people to feel like their authentic path is the one where they're going to light up, where they're going to find
Yeah.
that zone of genius. So it's really relieving to me that there isn't one way to do flowers. There isn't one way to be a florist, floral designer, business owner. There are so many people, as you know, that do flowers just for fun. There are people who do flowers full time for work. There are people who are doing weddings and events or focus on corporate events or who are doing brand partnerships or who are maybe just doing deliveries and subscriptions, having a flower shop. There are so many different paths.
Yeah.
And I love that because coming from the academic background, I remember getting my undergraduate degree in English, and the department gave us all this sheet of paper at the time, probably a PDF now, that was like, what can you do with an English major? Because it's not really a direct career link area
Right.
of study. And I thought that was really helpful. And ever since I'd started in floral design, that educator part of my mind was like, I want people to know that there are many things you can do with a passion for flowers, that there are many different paths you could use with that major. So I think it's really wonderful. I encourage people to feel like they can start somewhere that seems like what you should do in flowers, but let it
Yeah.
evolve.
Yeah. I feel like there's honestly, like, I don't know anyone like you. I feel like you have so much to offer and in such different ways. It's
So.
just really refreshing, to be honest. Do you ever have bad days, Jen?
Yes, definitely.
I don't believe it.
Well, I'm in a wonderful place right now, getting to talk to a wonderful friend. So it's a great day.
Oh,
But no, definitely. I honestly think a lot of my motivator, coaching, mentoring comes from a lot of inner work and stuff that I've done myself. I know that I seek these tools because in my darkest hours and in my toughest days, I want to evolve. I want to learn how I'm creating this pattern and how I can step through it. What can I learn from what's going on? But I definitely have those dark hours and those tough days. And I've been filled with a lot of doubt on my journey, and I still am from time to
Yeah.
time. Even making this podcast first season, I'm like, I had no idea how much time this would take. And part of me is like, have you lost your mind? You're spending
Yeah.
90% of your work hours on something that is not a paid effort. This is
Yeah.
just a resource that you're putting out in the world because your soul loves it and you want to connect with people, which is really
Mhm.
meaningful. But I have
Yeah.
big doubts about that. Or is this even good? Does anyone even care? All of those doubts. And I just try to know that they're part of it. I feel like in
Yeah.
my old age now, not old, my, I just talked about this in a recent episode. It was about turning 40. Um, we don't get older, we just grow up or we get to live longer. And in this
Mhm.
stage of my life, I think I have more perspective on those tough times and think this is part of my creative process. I hate it. I'm full of doubt. I it was so scary to step back from weddings and events that had been my big dream and my big
Yeah.
success for years to make more space because my soul is an educator and a writer and wants to create as an artist and wants to guide people but can't do everything. I have to let
Yeah.
certain things go. And that's really scary. So I don't know. This you are so kind to me, and also I want to be so honest that I have very tough times and I have a lot of doubt, and that I try to just have perspective that it's part of my creative process, it's part of being alive,
Yeah.
and that it helps me seek books, podcasts, tools, people, healers, processes, and methods that help me move through them that then I can share with others as well. So
Yeah.
I'm a Scorpio. I got all that transformation, love, and energy. I'm like, let's go. If it's dark, it's part of the light.
Yeah. I feel like too, you had touched on a little bit about imposter syndrome, and I feel
Mm,
like I hear it so much in the floral industry. Can we talk about that? Because
mm,
it's really, it makes me sad. I mean, and honestly,
yeah.
sometimes I feel that exact way. Like,
Mm.
what am I doing?
Yeah. Which, from my perspective, I would never think. I'd be like, Val is so solid in what she does. She's so generous in her heart. She's so like
Oh, you're so
connecting with
kind.
people, community building, creative. But isn't that funny? I think that's part of it is that we perceive that everyone else
Yeah.
has it together and is comfortable and confident and made it through somehow. And we, in our tough moment of being consumed with that imposter syndrome, are the only one who hasn't figured it out. And that perspective helps me. I love when I listen to a podcast or read a book of someone that I really admire and find very established, and they talk about how they have imposter syndrome even now. So
Yeah.
then I'm encouraged. I'm like, oh, it never goes away. I feel like I read it
Yeah.
in an article one time. It was like, it doesn't go away. You just have to accept
Hmm.
that it's part of being courageous enough to do what you feel called to do. But it's definitely a paralyzing thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, who am I to do this? What do I have to offer? Everyone else has already done it. Or, is this ridiculous of me? I feel all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can totally relate. Finish this sentence. Never have I ever.
You have such good questions. Hmm. This is where there's going to be a huge pause you'll have to edit out while I rack my brain. Um,
Because I really want you to write that book.
Thanks. I appreciate that so much because I am writing a book and I felt like as a person who doesn't have children, I have these creative immensities come through me and the book and the podcast wanted to happen at the same time. And I was like, I'm having twins. I'm going crazy.
Right? Oh my
When that
gosh.
happens, you're like, there's too much, but I'm so thankful for these cool ideas. But anyway, I had to put the book on hold. I was like, I will not forget you. I will return to you as soon as the podcast first season is out there. So there is a book drafted and it will happened. We'll get back to it after these last two episodes I have to do. But
I'm bubbling inside. I'm so
oh,
excited.
you're the best.
Yeah, we'll have to keep checking back. Oh, so
Yeah.
exciting.
I'm still
What?
thinking, okay, what have I never? Can you answer that first? Will you inspire me with your answer? Never have I ever.
Um,
I like the way you said it too. Never have I ever.
um, kiss my husband on the French Riviera.
Oh, wow. I love this so much because it makes me think there's the next like goal trip for you.
Yeah.
French
Okay.
Riviera.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
put it
on
on
my
the vision
list.
board.
Hmm.
Yes.
I mean, I really do want to go there. I mean, there's
Yeah.
lots of places, but
Oh,
yeah.
so romantic. I can't wait
Uh,
for the photo of you kissing your husband on the French Riviera.
Okay. I'll make that happen.
Okay, vision
Um,
board.
do you feel complete? Like with everything that you've done, do you feel a sense of accomplishment and peace?
Hmm.
Or do you feel like something else is brewing, or do you have a itch and you just, what are your feelings about that?
Such a good question, too. I feel in this moment like I have come through a very challenging inner transformation time. So I have a sense of relief and stability through moving through that, that I'm so grateful for every day because for a few years, I was really feeling like I was going through the darkest stuff in myself, in my
Mhm.
work and therapy, and trying to grow through things that were showing up in my life and my work as patterns that
Yeah,
were really uncomfortable and making things harder than they need to be or feeling like I'm never enough or all these things that are never gone, but I have a much better understanding of where that conditioning and those imprints came from and how I can integrate myself and feel better. So in this moment, I feel more steady and more relieved. But I also feel like I'm still discovering what's possible. I don't know if the calling to create this podcast and the book are going to lead me to some kind of other creative or well-being life coaching. I have no idea, but I know that I still love to create with flowers. I still love to speak and teach, and I want to write, but I don't have the whole map. And I'm kind of that's always a little disconcerting, having to sort of step into the
yeah,
darkness slowly, step by step, but I am trying to build this loving trust with that. I know
nice.
people have different beliefs religiously or spiritually, but I know for me
Yeah,
it's been helpful to remember and really try to ingest that I'm not alone, that we're never alone, that we're part of something bigger, that we're guided, and finding whatever messaging or whatever, belief system works well for people with that, I think is really helpful when I'm overthinking how I don't know where I'm headed or I'm starting to feel that something's brewing, but I don't know what it is. So I'm impatient or I'm
yeah,
scared. Then I think I'm guided. I'm not alone. I'm being asked to create these things. I'm just an expression of consciousness, just like everyone else. I get to
yeah.
channel the things I'm meant to do and share. So I feel like I have better tools right now in this moment in my life. And I'm
Okay.
aware that the good part of that scary stepping into the dark is that
Yeah.
we're not finished. How boring, honestly. We think we want to be there, whatever there is.
Hmm.
But I think that would actually be kind of boring. So I think never have I ever been fully complete or bored.
Okay. Oh,
Because there's
that's really good. That's
but
really
I
good.
like I liked yours better because it was more something that you want to do and it's attainable. I'm not actually trying to be complete or bored. So maybe I have to think of another one. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah. Yeah, we'll keep checking back.
yeah.
Um, what is one thing that you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Hmm. I think about this often. I would tell my 20-year-old self to relax, to enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Don't take things too seriously. You're so young. It's okay to have fun and make mistakes and explore. Not that I didn't, but I think I was really hard on myself the whole time.
Yeah.
And I would also tell her that you don't have to know the whole plan right now. Go with what feels right now and let yourself evolve. I feel like that's the lesson I'm always trying to learn, embody, and share because how can we know what our whole life is meant to be? Sometimes I think it's so impressive when people choose a career path and they're just in it. They're like, this
Yeah.
is my thing. Because
Yeah.
I've always been like, this is my thing, and I'm going to pivot in a couple of years, or there's something else calling. And I used to think there was something wrong with that. But I've found that it's not, if one needs to pivot, it's not because you can't decide or you're indecisive. It's more that you're letting yourself evolve and
Yeah.
learn and continue to step into who you are. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but I do think about that a lot. It's a great question.
I feel totally related to that because I feel like through my whole career too, there was lots of different pivots and different exploration in the floral industry. Um,
Mhm.
and when you're 20, you don't think of those things. You don't think when I'm 40, I'm going to be doing this, but it comes in a blink of an eye, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Hmm.
does. And then I
Yeah.
think, all right, this is a beautiful time to be as present as you can be because we're as young and vital as we will ever be in this present moment, whether that's right now or in 30 years or whatever. It's like this is where we are. And it's fun to plan ahead, or it's healthy to reflect and learn from the past, but the more we can practice being in this moment, this is the one where we're breathing. This is the one where our body exists. I always tell my yoga students this in class because I learned this through yoga. The breath helps bring the mind back into the body, and the body only lives in the present moment. The mind
Mm,
can travel past, present, future, anywhere, not even real, which is an amazing experience, but the body's always waiting for the mind to come back and be with
yeah.
in the present. And um, so, yeah,
I
love
love that, and I appreciate you
it.
so much. I really, really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too.
It's one of my most favorites, and I feel like
Oh,
there's so much more we could talk about. We'll have to do a
I
part
know.
two. But
That
thank
would
you
be
so
great.
much, Jen, for coming on, the beautiful people, and sharing your story. And yeah, hopefully more people will tune into your podcast because it really is special.
Yes, thank you so much. Did you want to do a Tarot of Flowers reading? Do we have time?
Yes, let's just do it.
You
Should we
want to do?
do, uh, you want to pick a card or you want me to pick a card
Well,
or?
since you have a deck there, you could pick a card and
Okay.
then I could tell you about it. Or we can read from the booklet because that's where I put the things about it.
Okay. All right. So
Um,
I'm going to pick card number 8 because that's my favorite number.
oh, that's my favorite number too. That's
It
so
is
cool.
my whole
Also, I
life.
like your method of choosing 'cause it's always different. I always have people take a
Yeah.
deep breath and like spread out the cards. But some people, I love that. Like eight's my card, whatever's the eighth card. Butterfly ranunculus. Oh, one of my favorites.
All
Okay,
right. Tell
so
me what 2026 has got to, is got, has me doing.
yes, how are we doing? Okay, we'll read it and then we'll talk about it. So it's so funny, even as the creator of this, I still find different experiences when I draw my own cards and when I read for other people. I think you could draw this card at different times in your life and you would read and hear different things
Yeah.
because
Oh my
it'll only
gosh.
reflect to you what you need. Um,
Totally.
so, Butterfly Ranunculus is the Knight of Wands. The knight in any suit is going to be that energy of a quest. So, this searching, seeking, soul searching, reaching for a higher understanding or wanting to grow and evolve. Also, I love number 8 too because it's the number of transformation. And that's really powerful. So, the Knight of Wands, the suit of Wands is in the minor arcana, and the wands are all about creativity, desires, passions, dreams, anything like that. So, potentially, this is a message for you in the world of creativity and dreams, and in this energy of a quest or a seeking of the soul. The element is fire for all of the wands, so transformation. And the chakra for this flower, butterfly renunk, is Manipura, which is the solar plexus. That's our inner sun. That's where we have that instinct of, I know who I
Okay.
am, place of self confidence. Butterfly ranunculus is a breezy, eye catching flower energized with daring curiosity and possibility. It is at once both familiar and foreign, akin to the common ranunculus, but somehow more refined, with its glossy single petal blooms that seem to lilt as though on wings. Instantly desirous, butterfly ranunculus inspires a longing for the chance to assert yourself authentically. When this flower appears, it's a sign to make your move, to take a bold step forward into a dream or a project that will shape your growth and allow you to be seen as who you are now becoming. We're talking about this growing into and letting yourself evolve.
Oh,
This does not mean throw all caution to the wind, of course. Acknowledge your restlessness, but don't be impulsive. Butterfly Ranunculus reminds you to be bold and move gracefully. The change you desire is in your hands to plan out and begin.
incredible.
I
All
love
right.
that for
I
you.
love that. I think that's amazing.
I think it's a sign to plan your trip to the French Riviera.
Definitely. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. That's perfect.
Oh, thanks
Well,
for
thank
letting me
you.
read for you. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
thanks for being such a wonderful supporter of these things that I have to share. And thanks for having me on. I'm so honored.
Well, thanks for being here. You're so
Yeah,
special to me. So thank you again.
yeah, thank you too. Mwah.